just coming home today. So God bless America, the USA. 21 gun salute.
So, JV, the Haitian Sensation, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today. How are you, brother? How's the family?
Hey, well, as you say, thank you for having me. I appreciate you reaching out. Uh, so when I saw that, I had to respond to my brother rather quickly and to make sure, everything is right. But everything is good, man. Family is good. You know, just still the same old stuff. I'm just trying to stay under the radar, living life, enjoying retirement.
Yes, yes, that's great. That's great. That's always wonderful to hear. We got you on today. I'm sure you're gonna have a lot of jewels to drop for some young people, and a lot of information you're gonna share. You had a extensive career in the U.S. Army, and we thank you for your service here at the Veteran Kettle, all your sacrifices that you made, and just being a all around good brother. I can speak from personal experience. Our first question is, what inspired you to join the military?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. Well, initially, coming out of high school, I actually really want to be a cop. That was my thing. And I went to college for about a year and a half at Miami-Dade Community College down there in Miami. After I graduated from Miami Edison Senior High School,
Okay.
and then I don't know, I kind of stumbled across a recruiter in the mall. Like they was doing their little recruiting thing. I had already had my first child, my son, and we were in the mall just probably trying to get some Jordans or something.
Yeah.
You know how it is, got to get the matching sneaks.
Gotta get it. The matching, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So, and life was a little tough. You know what I'm saying? Life was a little tough because I was 20. I actually had two jobs at the time. I
Talk
was
about it. 2 jobs.
Yeah, I was working. I was actually working at a car wash as a service advisor during the day, and then at nighttime, I was doing security for Kent Security, which is I don't even know if they're still around, but I was working security for Kent, and neither one of those two jobs paid too well, you know. So when I stumbled across the recruiter in the 163rd Street Mall. That's where they were. That's where I was. I did at the Foot Locker, and yeah, I agreed to an interview with him. He probably, we sat down. He explained to me how things would be better for me, my future wife, and my son at the time. And because, like I said, those two jobs can't, and that car wash wasn't really paying too good. It was basically I was living check to check. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, man, this can't be the American dream. Like, there's got to be more to this than just working and paying bills and then being broke after that.
That's right. That's the truth.
You know what I'm saying? So
That's the truth.
yeah, and so I figured I said, okay, well, if ultimately I want to be a cop, I had heard that, military experience would give us first like priority over civilians. So I said, okay, that sounds like a good deal. I could go in for like a quick 4 years, get that military experience, and then come out and go to the academy. So I guess you could say really what inspired me probably was just being broke.
Yeah, that's a good enough inspiration.
I wanted to have a little bit more
Good.
money in my pocket than just, a couple $100 after I paid my bills, take care of my kid. I wasn't married yet, but me and her have been together since my 10th grade year in high school. So yeah,
Yeah,
but that's what it was.
yeah, that's great. Do you remember what your experience was like when you first went to boot camp?
Yeah,
When
terrifying.
you...
I was, man, I was, I mean, I didn't know anything, to be honest. Like see, these days you can learn. I mean, back then you probably could too learn before you went in by, doing research and just doing and talking to stuff. But I mean, back then, I joined in 1999, so I didn't know anything about the military other than what I saw in the movies. And to be honest with you, I thought when you join the army, the entire army was infantry. I I didn't know there was like a plethora of jobs that I could choose from. You know what I mean? My recruiter didn't explain all that to me. That joker just trying to, get those numbers.
Yeah.
So I really didn't know much. I thought I thought, going in there, I was gonna be like under like strict, like, hey, this is where you should do every day. Like someone's always in your face. We out there living in the field or in some hole. I didn't know that it was actually like a community, a job, or something that you did mostly really from 9 to 5.
Okay.
I didn't know all that, so I was asking a lot of, probably at the time, ridiculous questions like, do I get to eat? Like, if I'm hungry, do I have to wait for, you know what I mean? Like, I was asking a lot of silly questions because I didn't know until I was actually there. And so yeah, it was a little, terrifying. I had never been away from home because I grew up in Miami. I wasn't born in Miami, but I grew up in Miami, and so this was the first time I was gonna be outside of Miami. Uh, so a little terrifying. Didn't know what to expect. Plus, I was gonna be away from my son, my girl. Didn't know how quick that we'd be able to reunite again. So it was just, I think it was just more like just going into the unknown and just waiting to see what happens. So that was pretty much like at first experience. But then once I got there, it was a rude awakening because back then basic training was not like what it is, what it is now. You know what I mean? So yeah, you first get there, that first week is just like in processing. So you thinking, oh, this is just it's easy, but that's just like, nah, we just processing you in, bro. The fun about to start next week.
Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, right. They put you in that little after, then that next week they put you in that cattle, those cattle trucks. They pack you up in there, 50, 60 of us like cows. You know what I mean? And you get there to basic training, and that's when all hell broke loose. And I was like, oh man, this is it. I'm in it now. This the stuff I saw in the movies.
This is the movie stuff, right?
Yeah, that shark attack was no joke.
You made a point, and you said that when you were going in, that you were concerned about being away from your son, your high school sweetheart, who later became your wife.
Yeah.
How because you did go ahead and go through, how did you cope with those things? Because I know that there's a lot of young people who may be considering going into the military, and that may be a concern of them. And you did complete a whole career, so there was something that allowed you or helped you to get through that, I would assume. Could you elaborate on that, if anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was knowing the support system. Like, she was real good at writing me all the time. So as you know, well, if they don't know, you get letters. There's mail call, and you get a lot of letters. And letters. She was sending pictures. She was keeping me updated with a lot of stuff. So it made me feel at home. Even though I was away. So that's the biggest thing is, but if you don't have that support with someone that's gonna, write you every day, sometimes 2 letters, 3 letters, those really help. And that's one of the things that help you with that coping mechanism that's gonna help you get through the day, because those days are very, very rigorous, especially me being in the infantry, like we it wasn't easy. So, but at the end of the day, when you get in and from all the training and there's mail call, and you you get that letter, and you smell the envelope and it smells like her.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got the pictures of her, you got the pictures of your kid in there, and some nice words. Those are very, very important to help someone get through that training. Because if you don't have anyone writing, even if it's just mom and dad, somebody, you need someone to send you something, right to you, tell you, everything is good, you're gonna be okay. You really need that, and that's what helped me was all of her letters. I think I probably used to get 2 or 3 letters every mail call, and sometimes even more. So I just tell her keep them coming, keep me updated, write me every single day, you know.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful. Thank you. So after boot camp and you got to your first duty station, do you remember what your first unit was, your first duty station, your first tour?
yeah, absolutely. They kept me in Fort Benning the whole time. So I went to Fort Benning, Georgia, which is the home of the infantry, and that's where I did my basic training. And then I stayed there also to do my advanced individual training on the Bradleys because I declassified me as 11 Mike, which is mechanized infantry. So I did my training there, and what actually happened was because I was a legal resident, I wasn't a citizen. My background check hadn't came back yet from when they did your fingerprints when you first came in. So they gotta do like this top-notch security clearance stuff on you. And I had graduated, and my first duty assignment actually was supposed to be Korea.
Okay.
So yeah, so when we graduated, they tell you, they call out your name and they tell you, all right, your assignment, this is where you're going, you know, etc. But I couldn't leave because my security clearance hadn't came back yet. And it took probably about another week or two. So I was just sitting in Fort Benning and just waiting. So by the time my security clearance came back, that assignment was no longer my assignment. So they just decided to keep me there. So they assigned me to 130 Infantry on Kelly Hill, right there in Fort Benning, Georgia. So I spent from 1999 until 2005, I was in Fort Benning, Georgia.
Okay. And what were some of your roles and responsibilities? You said mechanized infantry, correct?
Yes.
And what did you do as a mechanized infantryman?
All right. So for those that don't know, the Bradley, basically, if you ever see the movies, you see the tanks, and then you see some of the smaller versions of the tank. So the Bradleys are like the smaller versions of the tank, right?
Okay.
And initially, when you first start out, one of the main things that they make you start out as a driver. So I was a driver of the baby tank. As
Baby tank driver.
So that was pretty fun, especially when you went out to training and did all that. So, but the maintenance on those, I mean, we love driving them and doing all the fun stuff in the woods and running over things and tearing down trees. But then when you get back and you gotta get that thing cleaned up. That was the not so fun part, But being mechanized was actually pretty cool. And then as you get further up in the ranks, you start moving up to other positions like the gunner, or the what's called the Bradley commander, and so on and so forth. Or they'll make you light infantry, which is what I transferred after the driver. I went to being on the ground, light infantry. So basically, we rode in the back, and we were the guys coming out of the back, as you see in the movies, to go, on an attack or so on and so forth. So that was pretty cool too.
Right.
Yeah. So after,
That sounds really cool.
yeah,
Super cool.
yeah. So after
And thank you for that. Thank you for
after being,
that.
I was assigned as light infantry. So I was a rifleman. And then from there, I was given the team. So when I made the rank of corporal, I was given a team, so I was a team leader, and then squad leader. So it was pretty it's pretty cool stuff, man. It's pretty cool stuff. The infantry is just like, if you just want to have fun and blow stuff up with and not get in trouble, that's the place to be. You just get to have fun all day blowing stuff up.
In the infantry, right?
Shooting all kind of different guns and you know throwing live grenades, and it's fun. It really is. I had a blast. So it was a good experience out there in Fort Benning.
It sounds like fun. It makes me want to go to the range right now.
Right.
So wow, besides blowing things up, having the time of your life, uh, were there any other jobs that you did towards the latter part of your career?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I did several things, man. So when I left Fort Benning, as I told you in 2005, um, I went to Alaska, and that's when I got deployed for the second time to Iraq. So when I came back from Iraq after my second tour, I was put on recruiting duty because usually after you spend so much time on the front lines, they know you need a break because your knees and your elbows and everything, your body can only take so much because you do so much rigorous stuff on a daily. So they just figured that we needed you usually get what's called a different assignment. So it could be anything from recruiting duty, drill sergeant duty, schoolhouse instructor. You're gonna get assigned to something else. So initially, my assignment was I was actually going to go be a drill sergeant. That was my initial assignment. But somehow they put two orders in the system where one was for drill sergeant and one was for recruiter. So I was like, okay. So in my mind, I'm thinking I get to pick which one since it's two assignments. And my first, like, nah, youngster, that's not how it works. You see, recruiting is the mafia, so you're gonna go. They're gonna send you to recruiting duty because it takes priority over drill sergeant. I was like, well, I don't have no say in that. I'd rather be a drill sergeant. I don't want to be a recruiter. And it was like, nope, you don't got no say in that. So 2000, that was 2006, December of 2006, I got back from Iraq. January, I reported to recruiting duty in Miami, which was cool because I was like, oh, I get to go right back to my hometown, So that made recruiting real fun, So I did that pretty much. Recruiting usually is just a 2 to 3 year assignment, and then you're supposed to go back to your original MOS because it's almost like they want to give you a little break, and then you go back to bang bang, right?
Okay.
But because I had done so well as a recruiter, I had put more people in the Army. When I got there was only 6 months left in the recruiting calendar year. I had put more people in the Army in 6 months than the guys that had been there for a full 12 months.
Wow.
On my first year. So I was recruiter of the year my first year. Then I turned around and was recruiter of the year again my second year and my third year. So now my sergeant major was like, well, we don't want you to go back to the infantry.
Now you
Yeah.
you in the mob.
Yeah. So my major was like, yeah, we need you to stay out here and continue doing what you do. But what we're going to do is we're going to give you your own station. So you're going to be the station commander and you're going to train those other recruiters under you to do what you did, because it usually doesn't happen this way. I didn't want to do it at first. I was like, nah, I'd rather go back to blowing stuff up. I want to, continue doing that, being deployed, because obviously that's where the money was, being deployed.
Yeah.
And so then they came at me with, well, we'll give you a $20,000 sign-on bonus. I was like, all right, well, what do I sign?
Yeah. Sign-on bonuses.
Got me.
Re-enlistment bonuses, the bonuses.
Yeah, they got me with the 20 piece. So recruiting duty was actually pretty fun, especially, you in Miami, like it don't get no better than that. You know what I'm saying?
I know,
But
yes.
one of the best places to go recruiting So I had a blast there. Recruiting is, I mean, it's a good assignment if you're uh if you can talk, if you know how to talk to people, if you're not shy, like if you look the part, you know. So, and I've never really been shy or not being able to talk to people or anything like that. So it came natural to me. It came natural to me, and plus I was also into fitness. I looked good. I wasn't overweight. You know, I'm not trying to toot my horn, but I look good in the uniform.
Talk that talk, bruh. Talk that talk, bruh.
So then and when I came out recruiting, dude, and that's one of the first things my first sergeant told me. He was like, "Wow, you sharp." He's like, "You sharp," and that's one of the first things about recruiting is the way you look, because people, you know, especially when you're recruiting next to the other branches like the Marines, right? Everybody always think the Marines are just the best because of the uniform, how they look. They always look in shape. You hardly ever see a fat Marine if you think about it, right?
No, I've never seen a fat
Right.
Marine.
So when he seen me, he was like, "Oh, yeah, you sharp. You're gonna put a lot of men in the army because they're gonna think that if they join the army, they're gonna look like you, and you're gonna put a lot of women in the army because they're gonna think if they join the army, they're gonna get to be stationed next to you and they're gonna, try to be with you. So you're gonna have it on both sides of the field." And he was not lying.
Well, we thank you,
Yeah. Right.
for recruiting,
Yeah.
creating more veterans,
Yeah.
and keeping it flowing. Because I know a lot of young people don't know that they could start a career off in one way and then end up being in a position to even have such a mass effect on the influence of the actual service, to actually give back to the service while you're in service, by keeping the young people coming in, and keeping the door swinging, so to speak, because we have people retiring, and when people get off the bus, we need people to get back on the bus too. That
Yeah.
is great. That
Right.
is great. Um, what advice would you have for a young person who's thinking about joining the military nowadays? What would be a key piece of advice you would give them?
Uh, I think the first thing would be to actually like know your options, right? Like I told you at the beginning of the interview, I didn't know like there were 210 different career fields that I could choose from, you know? So once you take that ASVAB, make sure your recruiter goes over all the different types of jobs that you actually qualify for, right? And then make a decision from there. And just I think that probably be the first piece of advice is know your options. Know your options. Don't just go with the first job at the recruiter, because the recruiter's job is to try to sell you the job that the army needs the most right now, what they're hurting from. They're not gonna show you or tell you about all the other jobs that they don't really need, but there are positions open. They're not gonna tell you that. They're just gonna say, you know, hey, let me show you these top 3 jobs right here, and we got this money going for this job, blah blah blah. They're gonna try to shoot that to you first. You know, but hear them out, and then see what the other job options are as well before making a decision. Because again, that's all I knew about the army was, watching, Rambo and what's his name, GI Joe and all that.
That's right. That's right.
um, and I know you're very familiar with the game Street Fighter, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We grew up on all that.
Yeah.
G.I. Joe, the plastic men,
Yeah.
plastic army men in the bag. Yep, that's
Yeah.
my era.
So I wanted to be Guile when I
He
joined.
wanted to be guy. Okay.
Guy was, he was very muscular.
It's
He had muscle.
cool.
He looked good in the uniform. Dude was a complete, you know, badass. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna be Guile when I come in the military. That was my role model.
Yeah. And
So,
it worked. It worked out. It
so
worked.
the weights, I started lifting weights and eating a lot, and I mean, I do the competitions and everything. So that's
Yeah.
that was one of my, I guess you could say, also one of my inspirations for doing that. But yeah, just make sure that they know their options initially coming in.
What advice do you have for active duty members who are transitioning to retirement?
The best advice I could give would be to make sure that your medical records are straight and up to date. Start documenting everything, because one of the things that we go through, especially when, for me myself, that being in the infantry, you're it's like they train you to just go past through your injuries, right? You get hurt and just suck it up and drive on. You go to now, like, go start going to the doctor and start documenting everything, every single thing, because all of those things are just going to be points that's going to add up. That's going to help you get maximize as much as you can get for your VA compensation once you get out.
JV, the Haitian Sensation. How did you get that name, the Haitian Sensation? Please tell us.
Well, that was given to me when I came out to recruiting duty, because again, because I was one, I'm Haitian, so I wasn't born in this country. I was born in Haiti, so my background is of Haitian background. So when I came out to recruiting duty, because I was putting so many people in the army, they started calling me the sensation, because I was doing stuff that some of the other recruiters just couldn't do. They couldn't. The numbers that I was putting in a month was not being done by no one.
Yeah,
So that's where the name, they started calling me the sensation, and then somebody else added, well, he's Haitian, so we just call him the Haitian Sensation.
that's
And
right.
where the name came about.
That's great. That's great. Because you was doing such a sensational job
Yeah,
recruiting the young people in. Yeah,
yeah.
that's great. So now that you are retired, how do you spend your days retired? What keeps you active? What keeps you busy?
Oh man, retirement is fun, to be honest, because I planned ahead. I did save money. I invested. I had mutual funds, IRAs.
Yes.
I had a good savings account, slush fund, money. So I wasn't one of those guys that retired and just needed to hurry up and go back to work, because there were a lot of people
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought that were doing that, and these guys were higher ranking than myself.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and how they're, oh man, I gotta go ahead and I have to start working within the next 2 weeks after retirement, so I can be able to still pay all my bills. And I'm thinking, like, you were making more money than me. Like, what were you doing with all your money? You know, while you're in. So right
Yeah.
now, and majority of what I do, because I'm into competitive bodybuilding, so I spend a lot of my time focusing on that. So now that I actually have the time where I can actually eat all 5 to 6 of my meals on time, meaning every 2.5 to 3 hours from the moment I get up, I'm eating, food, and it's healthy, cooked, clean food. So since I have the time, I can actually meal prep. You know, um, 2 days a week usually. My lady obviously helps me, but it's just mostly that, and then working out. I'm usually in the gym about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I say more so to leaning towards a 2 hour mark. I train 2 hours every day for 6 days a week, meal prepping, writing programs, you know. And when I first retired, I did have a few people reach out to me. So I was doing like online consultation, where I was doing personal training and meal plans for people.
Do you still offer those services?
Yeah, I still offer them. I
If
still
somebody was to watch this and they wanted to get in contact with you to do that, where could they go ahead and drop that in if they could get in contact with you to?
Yeah, I'm on the gram Instagram as infantry BOI 99. So that's my handle on Instagram. I'm always on there because that's where people usually reach me. They send me a direct message uh, about my services and all that. So that's the best way to reach me is through my direct message on Instagram, and I say it's infantry BOI 99. That's my handle on there. I,
Infantry BOI 99 is where you can find the Haitian Sensation, and that link is in the description.
so yeah, like I said, retirement is good. I get to spend a little bit more time with everyone, especially my lady, and my kids, because being active duty, you miss a lot of that time. And now I can focus a lot more on what I want to do for myself. So, of course, I've had job offers at gyms to be personal trainer, general manager, but those are going to require too much of taking away from my time. I don't want to be on nobody's clock anymore. I want to do my own thing.
That's right. Retirement, it's great. Um, our last question. What do you think is the most valuable lesson you learned overall from your military service?
Mm, that's a good one. That's a good question. Uh, I think accountability, right? Accountability, and just and the whole the discipline aspect. Because when you do something routinely all the time, um, it becomes the norm. So that goes for like working out here in the civilian world, right? So if you know you got to get up and be on time to your job, or it can affect you and others, you kind of like back plan to, okay, hey, this is what time I got to get up. This is what time I got to be out the house. So it's yeah, discipline and like the accountability piece. I think is the biggest thing, because you can use that anywhere. You can use that anywhere, and the fact that as soldiers we don't know, what's the word I'm looking for here, like if there's so if something needs to be accomplished, we don't know how to find an excuse. Only thing we know is how to find a solution. You see,
Mm, yes.
so that's probably one of the biggest things, because we're not trained to find an excuse or a problem. We're trained to find a solution. We identify that might be a problem and there could possibly be a possible excuse, but we don't identify that. We know it in the back of our head, but what is the solution? How do I get around that? So I think that's the biggest thing. One of the biggest things, that and the discipline part, is we're more so solution oriented people, as opposed to making excuses.
Wonderful. I agree. Well, that's all the questions that we have. Once again, thank you so much for joining us today, sharing all the wonderful information, sharing your story. We thank you for your service. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience? Any last words, anything before we close out?
Invest. I think I know you hear me saying about, as far as retiring and being good once I retire. A lot of these, especially when they first come in, they're blowing their money on silliness. Cars and big screen TVs and all that. That stuff's gonna come. You gotta invest, put away money every time you get paid. You know, because there's resources for you to help you save. So that's the best thing I can offer. One of the best things I can offer is that piece there. So that when you do get out, whether you decide to do just your first initial contract of 3 or 4 years, or you decide to make it a career like I did and do 20 or more, you will always have money. So make sure you invest, and that's basically about it, man. You know, take care of yourself, take care of your health, invest that money.
Thank you so much. That is excellent and wise advice. Plan for your future. Absolutely. Do not wait. Thank you once again, JV, the Haitian Sensation, joining us. Please come back anytime you want. We love to have you. Any updates with anything that you have going on in your retirement, we love to, share them with the audience. And you can even cross promote if you want to on the platform. Anything we can do, the Veteran Kettle is here for you. We love our vets, and that's what we do, giving the best to support our vets. So you and your family have a wonderful rest of your day and the evening. Thank you for joining us.
Our soldiers coming home today.